Joseph Gwinn Jr. was a design engineer for Consolidated Aircraft in Buffalo, New York. When Consolidated moved across the country to San Diego in September 1935, Gwinn resigned, staying in Buffalo to develop and build his own easy-to-fly aeroplane. Finished in the summer of 1937, the Gwinn Aircar looked like something Rupert Bear might fly over Nutwood Forest with his chums. A tractor biplane with sturdy tricycle undercarriage, the Gwinn was fitted with a 90-horsepower Pobjoy radial engine and a Farlin propeller. Airframe construction was mixed. Fabric-covered wooden wings and tail, mated to an all-aluminium fuselage and fin. Having been test-flown by Richard Bennett, the aircar made its public debut at the Cleveland Air Races in September 1937. The aircar caused considerable interest, both for its unconventional appearance and its control system. Gwinn conceived the aircar as a foolproof, stall-proof, spin-proof, easy-to-fly aeroplane, one that the average motorcar driver could master in a few lessons. The cabin interior and the instrument panel resembled that of a car. The control column, seen here in the stowed position, normally raked back at 45 degrees. Left and right movements steered the aircar on the ground through the nose wheel and in the air through the ailerons. Up and down movement of the control wheel moved the elevators. Reasonably conventional so far, but the foot controls were less so. The right-hand pedal was an accelerator, to be used for takeoff, approach and landing. It was supplemented by a more conventional hand throttle to be used in flight. The middle pedal was, conventional to the motorist, a brake pedal. However, in the aircar, the use of the left-hand pedal was unusual to all. On takeoff, the aircar pilot would depress the accelerator hard and keep the aircar straight, steering with the control wheel through the nose wheel. At around 55 miles an hour, the pilot would press the left-hand pedal fully down. This would instantly extend the full-span flaps on the upper wing to their high-lift position, and the aircar would leap into the air. The elevator had no bearing on the takeoff procedure. It had virtually no up movement, very little down movement, and its only practical purpose was to adjust the rate of descent. There was no rudder, just a cockpit control bias tab to be set hard to the left for takeoff. It might have made a go-around interesting. On the approach to landing, our intrepid pilot would control his path with the accelerator and the elevators. When close to the ground, the flaps were extended by means of the foot pedal. There was no flare, the aircar being merely driven onto the ground, the sturdy tricycle undercarriage absorbing the ghastliness of it all. The aircar must have caused quite a stir. Within 2 weeks of its debut, it was being written about in the London Evening News. During 1938, Gwinn engaged Captain Frank Hawks, a well-known American air racing and record-breaking pilot, to become sales manager for the Gwinn project. Hawks was assisted by Nancy Harkness Love, whom in spite of her young age had already worked as a test pilot for the Department of Commerce. By this time a second aircar had been completed. It was powered by an uprated Pobjoy Niagara 5 engine, and the two pilots set off on a sales tour of the United States. The uprated Pobjoy engine in the second machine had proved troublesome through overheating, and it was replaced with a 90 horsepower Pobjoy, identical to that in the prototype. On the 23rd of August 1938, Captain Frank Hawks flew the second aircar to a landing site on a polo field at East Aurora in New York State. Several prospective buyers were awaiting rides, but on the first demonstration flight, the undercarriage of the aircar caught electricity wires on the boundary of the polo field. The aircar crashed inverted and burst into flames. Hawks and his passenger, Mr. Hazard Campbell, were dragged from the wreckage alive, but both later died of burns in hospital. Bitter irony for Hawks, he cheated death on several occasions and was killed in an aeroplane supposed to be so safe and easy to fly. Ease of flying is one thing, but the view out of the aircar, both forward and down, was poor. Whether Hawks ever saw the wires, or whether the overweight, underpowered aircar sank back towards the ground after liftoff, we'll never know. Distraught at the loss of Hawks, production ceased and Gwinn closed the company. Gwinn eventually rejoined Consolidated, now Convair, taking the prototype aircar with him. There he designed the Convair 111. Like the aircar, it was supposed to be easy to fly. Powered by a Continental A65, it suffered from persistent overheating problems, and after the shaft drive to the pusher propeller failed, all work ceased. In 1940, Nancy Harkness Love, who had learned to fly at the age of 16, suggested to Colonel Robin Olds that women might be used to ferry aircraft for the US Army. In time, she became head of the Women's Auxiliary Ferrying Squadron, and also the first woman to fly as captain on a B-17. Her co-pilot was her pre-war friend and fellow flyer, Betty Gillies. As well as becoming a mother of 3 children, Nancy continued to serve post-war, being appointed a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force in 1948. Thank you for watching.